Alright, I'm going to do a little video here on standards as they relate to my secret society called Hraftzer Society. Now this seems to be an issue I have with a lot of people. Now I ask that, well, let's just say for instance I like to do Kung Fu. I used to go to a good school where we trained properly, but most of the schools I go to, most martial arts schools, they charge a lot of money, so it's a large financial drain. And they don't even teach you properly. I get like nothing out of it. They'll have a half an hour class, which it takes you a half an hour to drive out there usually. At least half an hour to drive there and back. During the half hour class they do about 15 to 20 minutes of warm-ups, which is stretching and push-ups, stuff I could do at home. And then they start training a little bit and kick and punch the air. And then class is over. You know, you learn practically nothing. There's not enough time to learn anything in it. And so I would just say, well, I would meet with people in a park and train with them. But it's exceedingly difficult to meet people to train in martial arts because if I put out an ad, people contact me, oh, I'm really interested in doing that. Okay, let's schedule a time and place. Well, I have to think about it. I'll get back to you. I'm really interested. I really want to do this. Yeah, you need to, let's schedule a time and place and do it. Well, I don't know. Or they just never write back, and I'll write them like, hey, what's going on? Are you still interested? Yeah, I just been kind of busy. I'm not sure if I want to do it. Then I'll say something to them like, well, I need you to be able to set a time and place, to set a schedule, and to show up on time. And if you can't do that, you're wasting my time. Then the person will write back, oh, well, you're exceedingly negative. You know, you're really negative. You think you're better than everybody else. You need to seek psychological help. So, and the same thing happens with Hraftzer Society. I put out an advertisement for that. I get people, they write me, oh, I really want to do this. Let's meet somewhere, okay. And then they never follow through with setting the meeting. And if there is a meeting, they don't show up. I go to online dating. I deal with the same stuff. Just something simple. It's not even online because I can put out, flyers, and it's the same issue. And it's the same with dealing with investments and things like that. I had a guy who early on was part of Hraftzer Society, I suppose you could say, and all he ever talked about was making money, like working together to make money and cooperating. And I guess he's obsessed with trying to make money. And I know the Port Charlotte, Florida real estate market. I've been watching that since I was 16 years old. And I told him when the market was down, like, now is the time to buy. And his brother flew over without notice. Like, he didn't give me any advance warning. Like, oh, we got our ticket and we'll be there tomorrow. Or my brother's going to be there tomorrow. I was like, well, you should have discussed this with me beforehand. And then he showed up and we looked at the houses and he never followed through with buying them. Then he started accusing me, oh, you want charity, you just want to live in these houses. Why would I want that? This is money. I was like, if you don't trust me, just do it for yourself. I mean, I'm telling you right now is the time to buy. We were looking at houses that were appraised at around 100 grand and they were selling for 20 to 30,000, and you could rent them out for 600 a month. And even a multi-unit house that would have been a huge profit in rentals. Oh, I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to rent things out. I want to buy them and resell them for more money. I said, yeah, but you can't predict when they're going to go up in price. I mean, you'd be sitting on an empty house. In the meantime, you make money renting it, and then you can sell it. Once the price goes up, you can put it for sale with the renters in it. But he just wouldn't go through with it. Well, a little over a year later, it was the biggest price increase in history of that area. The houses that were selling for $20,000, $30,000 were selling for $200,000. So it would have been $180,000 profit. More than that, really, with the rental income, depending on how things went. But he lost out on that. So what I'm saying here is when I say that, but people say, that I have a dark cloud over my head. I'm really a negative person and I'm being judgmental and I think I'm better than other people. I'm not trying to judge other people here. When I say that you have to show up to do martial arts, it's because you have to show up. You cannot do martial arts with me if you don't set a schedule and show up. It's necessary. I mean, I hope I'm getting through. Like, you understand that you have to show up to a class in order to do it. All right, it would be just like if I was a college professor and I say, you need to study more and get your grades up because you're failing my class. And the student says to me, well, you need psychological help, professor. You're very negative. You think you're better than everybody else, don't you? No, that's not the case. I'm just telling you that you have to study in order to pass these tests. It's on you, man. I mean, for some reason, I get the exact same response from all these different people. Whether it's online dating, Hraftzer Society, meeting to do yoga or kung fu, doing business deals, a lot of this stuff is outside of Hraftzer Society. It's the same people, you know, just the names and faces change, but the behavior is usually the same, and they say the same things. They usually start shouting about psychological help, which I don't know if that's psychological projection. They're projecting their own problems onto me or what, and they say I'm negative. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, like, well, you're very negative. You have this negative view of the world, don't you? You think it's you against the world or something. No, that's not what I think. I'm just saying that, okay, if you want to date me, you have to be able to meet me and show up for a meeting, and you have to get to know me. I mean, I'm not sure how else it could work. If you want to do a martial art class with me, you have to show up. You know, you have to be able to communicate effectively. And if you want to invest, you have to understand basic math. You have to understand, hey, if my payments on this house every month are $200 a month and I can rent it out for $500 a month, is that a good deal? And you have to be able to figure that out for yourself. You need basic math, maybe a basic level of intelligence. It's not that I'm trying to put you down. It's not that I'm trying to insult you. It's not that I'm negative about everything. Now, I do tell people, like, I have these very basic expectations, these basic standards, and most people I meet, they don't meet those standards. They're not living up to those standards. In other words, you know, I like to do martial arts. I'm willing to meet with people in the park and train with them. I'll train you for free. I'm not going to charge you $100 a month or $200 a month like a school would. I'll do it with you for free. But you do have to show up. You do have to set a schedule ahead of time. If you're not going to show up, you do need to give me advance notice. And most people I meet that claim to be interested in martial arts or yoga or anything like that, they don't do that. They don't meet that expectation. And I have a problem meeting people who will live up to that expectation. When I tell people that, they say, you need psychological help. You need to seek help. You're so negative and you're so judgmental towards other people, and I bet you that negativity is eating you alive. You know, I'm not really a negative person. I just saying that I need to meet people who will show up. It's physically impossible for me to do a martial arts class if the students don't show up. You know, it's not that I'm trying to put you down. You know I repeat myself a lot, but I'm not sure why this is complicated, why this confuses people. And when people tell me that they have financial problems, I tell them, like, here is a better job. I can get you a better job. I know somebody who will get you this job. It pays better. And then they don't do it. I do need you to show up for work and be able to do a simple job correctly. You know, you do need to be smart enough to mop a floor, you know. It's not that I'm trying to put you down, but you have to meet these basic requirements, you know. If you want to invest with me, you have to meet these basic requirements of understanding, you know, elementary level math. You have to be literate, functionally literate. If I write you a 3-paragraph email, you have to be able to read it and process it. If we're doing anything like investing or anything like that, I might hand you a 200-page book on investing, on real estate investment, and say, you need to read this book. There might be a few videos here on YouTube that you can watch. You know, maybe you need to talk to this. You might have to sit down with me for half an hour and have a conversation with me and be able to listen. And a lot of people I talk to, they have ADHD. You know, I'm trying to talk to them and they're like, they're over here staring at the wall, fidgeting, playing with something. I'm like, look, man, focus. You need to pay attention. You need to be able to listen to what I have to say for, you know, 15, 20 minutes or something like that, you know. You have to be able to process basic levels of information. And, you know, if you want to be a roommate with me, you have to be paying your rent on time. You have to pay your rent on time. You can't be stealing change off of the dresser. You can't turn the air conditioner on and open up all the windows. I'm not saying this as a negative person or anything like that, but it's a basic expectation that you have to meet these minimum requirements, or else I can't associate with you, that you're just kind of causing unnecessary problems for me and I'm better off without you. You know, I'm not trying to put people down. I'm not trying to be tough on people. I try to make the requirements as simple and basic as possible, but continually I deal with people who don't meet those requirements. So one of the things I deal with as well is on a professional level. I'll go to college or I'll work somewhere or I'll deal with neighbors and they commit crimes. They cause unnecessary problems. And a lot of times I deal with law enforcement and they're reluctant to really seriously investigate any of this. So I like to have friends that can serve as witnesses for me, so I can bring court cases and bring lawsuits and things against these people. And that's one thing that helps me. And if I tell them, like, look, not all the time, but quite often I deal with companies that try to rip me off. And I deal with people that are dishonest or unprofessional in their conduct. Oh, you're so negative. You think the world's against you. No, that's not what I think. Just listen to me. I don't need to listen to you. I know everything about you. You need to get an attitude adjustment. You have a problem, son. You know, that's the way they act. Instead of saying, okay, well, I'll be there for you. You know, I'm just saying, why would you assume that I'm the problem? If I tell you that somebody over here ripped me off, why would you assume that it's me that has a problem and not the other person? That's one thing that I'm a bit puzzled by. But, you know, usually when I talk to people, first of all, as I stated, they don't meet those requirements. They don't set a schedule. I try to tell them, like, where's the day that both of us will have off that we can meet? We don't even get that far. Oh, yeah, I really want to do this. So let's keep repeating that over and over again. Yeah, I'll get back with you later. Trust me, I'm really going to do this. Trust me. Later. Well, when later? Just give me a date and a time. If it's a month from now, that's fine. But I need a specific date and time. I need you to be specific. Later on, you know... I mean, come on, man. And so the people act like this, like they tell me that they're geniuses. They always tell me that they're a genius, but then when I ask them to read like a 100-page book, they don't read it and they don't seem to understand elementary things. You know, they seem to struggle with simple logic. I'm like, there's no way you're a genius. You know, you're struggling with very simple, low-level things. And besides the relative incompetence there, they get very angry at me whenever I tell them that I deal with incompetence. As I stated, you know, they'll, claim that I'm being negative. And, like I'm trying to emphasize here, I'm not a negative person, but you do have to show up to class in order for me to conduct it. If you want to do a mutual investment with me, you have to understand investing. It's not complicated, but you have to understand elementary things like what money is and what rent is and what interest is, I mean, just simple things, You have to follow through with things. You have to be rational. You can't accuse me, like where I try to do a real estate investment with somebody and he starts accusing me that I'm trying to rip him off or that, I want charity or something. If you start coming up with all this irrational excuses, that's a problem as well. You need to be fairly rational, fairly centered. The same as if I say, I dealt with a mechanic that ripped me off. Oh, it's always somebody's out to get Raymond, isn't it? I never had this problem. Must be something you're doing. Well, that's an irrational response. When I say, a mechanic ripped me off, you should be fairly unbiased about it and not get emotionally worked up. If you do get emotionally worked up, it should be against the mechanic that ripped me off, not against me. I mean, just very basic things. I'm not saying this again for like the 100th time. I'm not saying this to put anybody down or because I'm negative or trying to be judgmental. It's just that in order for things to function, in order for me to do business with you, in order for me to even hang out with you, you have to behave in a certain way. It's not that I'm trying to be high and mighty and be better than everyone, but it's just that for your own sake. I mean, there's no possible way. Like if I create a martial arts class and you just don't show up, there's nothing I can do that can fix that. It's not like my attitude is the problem keeping you from learning the martial arts. You not showing up and you not setting a schedule is the problem. Okay? If I'm trying to be a friend with you and work together to solve your problems and to solve my problems, and I tell you, and I try to communicate with you, like, here's a problem I have, and you start yelling and screaming and saying that it's my fault, that I'm a loser because I told you, I say, hey, this person down here is harassing me. Oh, what'd you do to deserve the harassment? Oh, you got a problem. Seek psychological help. That's what these people do. Like, what can I possibly do differently that would make that turn out well? What could I possibly do? Like, I am not the problem here. You see, I need these certain expectations so that things can work. And I guess these people have been trained to be a loser since they were young. They go to elementary school, they come in last place in the race, and they get a first place ribbon. Every time they poop their pants, they get a smiley face sticker. They spell their name wrong on the test, they get pat on the head until they're special. And they go to church, and the churches kind of reinforce loser behavior, and they're never, no one in life has ever told them that they need to behave differently. So they're used to being this way. And there's not a whole lot I can do about it unless you want to function. If you're willing to function on a very basic level, then contact me and we'll get into contact. We'll arrange mutually beneficial projects. We can accomplish more working together than we could alone. I don't care if it's a trip to Las Vegas. We could do that together. I don't care if it's martial arts or yoga or making money or just friendly banter between people or a book reading club or whatever. I'd like to be able to interact with people who can behave normally. And consistently, I'm dealing with people who are highly dysfunctional. They're all drugged up or they're drunk every day. If I deal with them, they start yelling and screaming names at me or trying to get in a fist fight with me for no reason. As I said, if I tell them I have a problem, they'll start telling me to seek psychological help or something like that. If I schedule a time and place to meet them, they don't show up or they don't even want to set the schedule to begin with. They always whine and complain about problems they have. If I give them a simple solution, they won't do it. They'll complain that they don't make enough at their job. I'll tell them, well, here's a better paying job. They won't take the better paying job. They'll just keep whining and crying every day. They complain that they can't afford to pay their rent. I say, look, I'll buy a place. Both of us can live there. It'd be cheaper for both of us. Then if they move in, they don't pay their rent. They'll trash the place. They'll run the bill up by having windows open and air conditioning on or other crazy behavior. They'll steal from me, steal change off of my desk and go buy dope with it or something, These are consistent problems that I encounter with people, and so I have to do evaluations on people. I have to do background checks and basic evaluations just to see that you can function. And again, I hope you understand that it's not reflecting my attitude, other than I have reasonably high expectations out of myself and out of others. I really don't see the point of being around someone who can't show up, who can't read or write, who can't show basic consideration towards others, who can't stop whining and crying about being a loser all the time. It just seems, these are basic things. And it's silly. Like, I never would have expected that people act this way. I've learned the hard way that over and over again, I'm consistently meeting people that are like this. Online dating, I could go on there, write 100 people. And of the ones that write back, all of them act that way. None of them, I'd say, hey, let's go meet over a cup of coffee and get to know each other. None of them will do it. They'll start calling me names. They'll start yelling and screaming, cussing me out, through the internet, just for no reason, and I'll tell them, just set a date and show up. They won't show up. They'll say they want to, but then they never follow through with it. It's the same behavior. People contact me about Hraftzer Society, same behavior. They don't show up. They cuss me out. They call me names. Same thing with martial arts. Same thing with business. Same thing with finding roommates. It's the same behavior, and the majority of them are on drugs. So I never expect that behavior, but it keeps reoccurring over and over again over the years, and it's becoming a problem that I have to address. And so that's why I created the society, where we can start getting together normal functioning people and start working together on various facets of life: friendship, investing, any kind of help you need with the community, legal help, anything like that. Just working together with other normal, sane, functioning human beings is the goal here. I'm not here to be snobbish, not here to put people down. We're here to help people if at all possible. But you have to understand that you have to function. At some point, you have to function on a certain level. If you can't show up to work, then you're not going to earn a paycheck. If you can't pay your rent on time, then you're going to be on the streets and homeless. Certain expectations just exist in life. We're not putting these expectations out there to be mean. We're not putting them out there to just because we want to feel like we're better than somebody else. That's not the goal here. We're not. I'm not talking about people doing these things because I have a dark cloud over my head and I'm negative. That's not the case. It's just that when people behave this way, it creates problems. It's not necessary. The problems are easily solved. Like, just don't act that way. Just show up to work, do your job, pay your rent on time, show consideration of others. If you want to do an extracurricular activity, if you want to hang out with friends, you have to show up to hang out with them. You have to set a schedule. If you want to go to the bar drinking with somebody, you have to schedule that ahead of time and actually show up to the bar at the same time with the other friends to do it together. If you want to invest and make more money, you have to have a basic understanding of the business that you're doing. If you want to open up a lawn care business, you have to know how to cut grass. Just simple basic expectations that I would think are common sense, that I wouldn't have to say this out loud, but apparently I do. Apparently I do have to say, look, you shouldn't smear feces on the wall. And I've really dealt with people who smear feces on the wall in a public library. There's a lot of kids that actually do that. I would assume that I wouldn't have to say anything about that, but apparently I do have to say something about it. The louder I talk, the more it echoes in here. But I would assume that everybody understands that you need to show up, that you need to set a schedule, show up. But like a lot of people, they don't. They have social anxiety, or they have some kind of emotional or mental problem that they somehow find it difficult. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from on these issues, and that this is really a basic thing. But because there are so many dysfunctional people out there, because the majority of people, when you're dealing with the working class and regular guys, maybe if you're going to Harvard or you're in an elite college or something, maybe you're not dealing with as many idiots like that. But if you're out here and you're just a normal, person on the street or whatever, you're dealing with the majority of people act this way. And the normal people are the ones that don't even interact with others. Normal people are like, I'm never going on Craigslist. I'm not dealing with those people. Normal people are like, I'm not going to that church, man. All these churches are full of idiots, And the normal people are like the loners, they're up at the mountaintops, isolated from everyone else, because you just deal with so many problem people, and all these different, not just individuals, but the communities, the groups that are out here, like the churches and things like that. They're all dysfunctional people, low expectations. So just to get into a community with certain minimum expectations and certain functional adults, it's a huge boost to you. It provides so much opportunity for you, and it makes your life so much happier when you can deal with people that are, actually the thing is, you're dealing with positive people. Someone like me, I'm positive, I'm happy, I'm glad to go out and do things. The people I deal with, they're always negative. Like, they don't want to show up, and they want to cuss you out, and they want to argue with you, and there's no point in doing that. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to put you down. Nothing. I'm just here that if you want to go do martial arts, we'll do it. But you have to show up. If you want to invest and make money together, we'll do it. But you have to be reasonably competent in the investment. You have to be able to read a book on it and sit down and talk with me for half an hour about the basic issues that may be involved. And, you have to follow through with it. If you want to go and do a roommate deal, okay. But you need to be able to pay your rent on time and set basic rules and basic boundaries and follow them. That's all it is. And but it is, a huge challenge finding people that can do that. And, that's really where the advantage of Hraftzer Society comes into play, where you start building that community up of associates that are good associates, good people. My grandma used to tell me, go to church so you can meet good people. But I go to church and it's all hypocrites and relatively bad people, in my opinion. So, where can I go to meet good people? I don't know. So I'll create my own group. But that's the advantage. You can meet good people here in this group, and that everybody here is behaving rationally. Everybody here is functionally literate. Everybody here is considerate towards others. They've been evaluated. They've done a background check. They've done a basic test of intelligence. They've been evaluated in terms of their attitude. If they have a bad attitude or they're irrational, they're out. So you're seeing that this community has many uses, multifaceted community. But the underlying thread there is a certain minimum standards in behavior and competence. And it's more valuable than gold if you understand it, if you understand how valuable it is to deal with people like that. So that's all I have to say.